and then I am going to share my presentation. Good afternoon. Thank you so much. We are zooming in from Miami. I am Aldeide Delgado, the founder and director of Women Photographers International Archive, WOPHA. Women Photographers International Archive is a nonprofit organization that was co-founded by myself and visual artist Francisco Massó in 2018. And the organization emerged after 5 years of me working with my original project titled Catalog of Cuban Women Photographers, which was the first comprehensive approach to Cuban photography history from a feminist perspective. After moving to Miami and noticing the lack of dedicated spaces for promoting photography and particularly photography by women, I decided to create an organization that could also do this kind of practice of rewriting the history of photography from feminist and decolonial perspectives and assuming then the specific geographical location of Miami as at the crossroads of the Americas as a center point for making this kind of work and generating this kind of discourse. So I speak a lot about how with WOPHA, I am looking forward to creating a meeting place for the international photography community in Miami. And we do so through several programmings that we develop during the year, including multiple exhibitions or artist-in-residence program that we are going to speak about it in the following minutes, or research fellowship, the practice of digitizing and archiving the work of women photographers. And as you see here in the presentation, our vision is to foster a more diverse and equitable world by providing a permanent archive for future generations that preserves, documents, and promotes women photographers' work while being a driving force for innovative thinking and discussion about the role of women in photographic arts. We have a very strong focus on the artistic production from regions and from artists who represent diverse backgrounds that have been historically marginalized in the history of photography, in the canon of art history. And really, I just thank you for being here, for being interested in our programming, and encourage you to keep informed about everything that is happening with the organization. And of course, I also introduce you to Amanda Bradley. She was giving the first comments, introducing us to this session, and she is our associate curator of programming and the person that you will see like managing and working a lot in all the programs that happen in the organization. And let me see, it's not going next. One moment. It changes? It changes? Okay, yeah. Perfect. So I want to speak a little bit more. We have more people. Okay. So I want to speak a little bit more about how the WOPHA Artist-in-Residence program initiated. It is a program that we started in 2020 during the pandemic. WOPHA is an organization that doesn't have a physical space in Miami, so we collaborate with many institutions in the city, mostly with everyone, including the Perez Art Museum Miami, El Espacio 23, the Betsy Hotel, the Rubel Museum, recently with the Norton Museum of Art, History Miami Museum, Miami-Dade Public Library, Green Space Miami. So there are too many institutions in the city, and we collaborate with them all to develop our programming. In 2020, in the context of the pandemic, where most of the institutions had the programs closed, I received this invitation. Had their doors closed because of the lockdown. I received an invitation from the Faena Hotel to create a kind of programming, and we decided to start the program there of providing artists with an opportunity to work, to connect, to engage with the community of Miami. And our first artist in residence even was Amanda Bradley as well. She has been working with us since 2019. So we went from 15 days that have been what we were able to offer at the beginning to now 1 month residency, where also we have been able to offer to increase the honorarium that we are offering to the artists, to offer as well an exhibition in the community, and also providing opportunities for connecting with the main people, let's say curators, art critics, and main people in the Miami community. Amanda will speak a little bit more about that, but this is like a very, as you will notice, or as you are seeing, we are a very small team, but very well dedicated. It's a small organization doing great and big things, but we are it's a very personalized experience, very intimate experience. Everything that we do at WOPHA is like becoming or being part of a community, becoming and being part of this family. So we always bring this kind of kindness and generosity and passion toward the work that we do. But in general, we ask the participants to have like a very identified goal that they want to implement. They like a clear definition of how your presence in Miami will impact your practice. The residency is open to for doing like new or ongoing projects, conduct research, engage with curators, collectors, and fellow artists here in the city. And of course, we also encourage you to engage with our community. I don't know why it's not going, it's not working the PowerPoint today. Let me see here now. Okay, perfect. This year is very special as well because we are partnering with La Estación Culturelle. La Estación Culturelle is an organization in Martinique, and thanks to the partnership that we are having with them, this year we are going to choose one artist, particularly from the French Caribbean, to accompany the other fellow that we choose for this program. So it's part of the ongoing commitment that WOPHA has to support artists from the Caribbean and its diaspora as part of our program. The jury, and this is, I want to highlight because, all the jurors are people that are familiarized with the organization. As you can see in their bios, very, professionals, people that I know, that we are friends, and that happens, as I said, with everyone that we collaborate with, people that are very dedicated to supporting women photographers throughout the work that they do day by day. And that is a great opportunity, even just by applying, for them to be able to see your work. So we have Marina Mada, who is an independent curator and art producer based working between Japan, France, and Hawaii. She was also the she formerly worked at she used to work at Kyotography in Japan, one of the most important photography festivals in the world. Then also we have Taus Damani, who is based in London, but an art historian, writer, and curator specializing in photography, and whose book, Shining Lights, was recently selected as one of the best books published last year by Paris Photo Aperture Photo Book Award. Adama Delfin Fabundu was our 2021 WOPHA Artist-in-Residence, visual artist, co-founder of MFON, Women Photographers of the African Diaspora, and also assistant professor at Columbia University. Eileen Gorsk, who is independent curator and co-director of La Estación Culturelle in Martinique. And Daria Tuminas, who is an independent curator based in the Netherlands, and also a curator that is collaborating with many institutions, including Photodoc, and is the co-founder of Growing Pains, a foundation that publish photo books supporting women and non-binary artists. So really, this is like a great jury that we have this year, and I am very proud of having them involved in the process of the open call. And I think now I am going to let Amanda continue, and you can tell me next, and if this one I can
Well,
I can share.
so she zoomed over a photo, which was from the initial artist-in-residence program that she described that happened at Faina. As you saw, I was masked, reaching across the table and sharing some images, social distance style. So as we go through this presentation, you'll see, documentation around how the residency has evolved in all of these cultural partnerships. So just something to note. But now I'm going to go through a lot of the reason why you all are here is so kind of more the nitty-gritty details to the application and the program itself. So here's a list of eligibility for the program. So identify as a woman or non-binary artist and photographer, primarily work in photography and visual culture, be at least 25 years old, be able to commit to the full 1 month residency in Miami, which will take place in September 2025. Not currently be enrolled in a degree granting program, so not be in school, have at least 5 years of professional artist practice that you've held independently. Um, we ask that you can dedicate a minimum of 30 hours per week to studio work, or that maybe that's something that you're already consistently doing in your home countries or states. Be a non-local artist. So we are looking for artists who are coming from other states or countries to come to Miami. There is other opportunities for local artists that we provide, and we can directly, also address this aspect in the Q&A portion too. So if anyone has questions, I also encourage you, if you want to make sure you write them down before forgetting, you can also drop them in the chat and we can pull questions from there when we get to the Q&A portion as well. Um, and then have the ability to travel to the US. So if you are coming internationally, you will have to make sure that you check on what the visa requirements and entry requirements may be. We can most definitely provide a letter stating that you've been invited to participate in the residency to support that application, but you are required to manage that process of visa application yourself. But we'll support in providing the supplementary materials you may need from us as the inviting organization. Be proficient in English. That's the language that the residency program is conducted in, although there's a very big Spanish speaking community in Miami. And then also just not have participated in the residency program previously. This is our 5th year of having the program, and we're really excited at how it's grown. So we're really trying to, continue to build our community of women working in photography through this program.
Yeah, and with the and even with the proficient in English aspect, what we are looking is mainly like working English is the ability, the possibility to be able to communicate in English because well,
So that we can
studying or most of our staff is bilingual, speaking English and Spanish. Even my first language is Spanish. But even to be able to communicate with the community, it would be good to have like a working knowledge of English. Spanish is a plus, but yeah, I just wanted to highlight we welcome all the different languages, but English would be very good to be able to pass the residency in a very well easy way.
you can go next. So this is a photo of Claudia Claremi, who was just most recently one of our artists in residence through a partnership with Perez Art Museum Miami in 2024 in September. And I'll go through an application criteria checklist. These are obviously abbreviated. We were very detailed with the application. So when you log into SlideRoom, you'll see that there are sub-questions that really guide you on how and what we're looking for in the responses. And we can go through some of that in the Q&A too, if any of you have taken the opportunity to look already and have questions about that. But we're looking for, a short bio and an artist statement, really trying to understand who you are as an artist and what your visions are, a statement of interest. So why are you interested in this residency? Why WOPHA? Why Miami? And then we're also thinking about how do you plan to spend your time in Miami? This doesn't have to be super detailed where it's day by day, but really thinking about these are 4 main goals I want to accomplish. The first week, I really want to get a lay of the land. I want to visit the other cultural institutions, meet with curators. Second week, I want to do research. So I'm just, providing, a resource, but thinking about what are the goals and, at what point in the residency do you plan to kind of start working on those goals, just for us to also understand, because we are such a small team, how we can best make sure that you can achieve all of those goals in the short span of a month. A CV and resume, a portfolio of up to 10 images that best show your work, and contact information for two professional references. We don't necessarily need recommendation letters, but two people who can speak on your behalf that maybe you've worked with in other residencies, in school, in other studio spaces. That would be good references for this application. And then we do have a question on if you require specific resources, facilities, or equipment for your studio practice. Some of us work in analog film and it's hard to find a dark room. So any of those things that may intersect with the particular body of work that you want to work on in Miami would be great for us to know. As Aldele mentioned earlier, we don't have, a brick and mortar space, but we do have a huge network of other organizations in the city that have been supportive of our work, and we'll do our best to make sure that you have access to scanners and dark rooms and printing labs or whatever those things may be. If it's a botanical garden, if it's a library, whatever that may be, whatever you envision as being maybe a barrier to making the work, let us know so we can try and make sure that we can facilitate that to the best of our capacity. Um, and then we also ask for a description of up to two projects, bodies of work, or individual works to be considered for the exhibition component of the residency. And so our residency format is a bit unique. I think most artist in residence programs are typically time and space for a duration for you to make work. But what we try to do, because we are such a small team and we only have, this once a year, is provide kind of this long-term care that's embedded in our residency program. And part of that is giving you space and time in a new city to make work, introducing you to people, and also providing you the space to show the work that you've either been making or are making while you're in residence as well. So we can go ahead
Yeah.
unless you have more to
And
add there.
something really great about the exhibition is that it runs for 4 months, from September to December. So it runs through Miami Art Week. That is the moment of um, the most intense moment in the city, and a great opportunity as well to connect and to present your practice.
And these are also two recent artists in residence that we had at El Espacio in March of 2024, Keisha Scarville and Cosineve. We had a open studio artist conversation with them in the shared studio space at El Espacio. So this is us chatting there. And then residency details. So we've mentioned El Espacio many times in this presentation so far, but they are our hosting partner institution. They are an incredible private collection and exhibition space that has supported us from the very start. And they have a residency embedded in their space, which has 3 studio apartments, a large shared studio space with kitchen, and then you have access, to their exhibition space. And they're located very centrally in Miami, in Alapata, which is a very historic neighborhood, but also becoming kind of an arts hub here in the city. And then, as I mentioned earlier, if you do require access to facilities, we do have connections to other studio spaces who may have printmaking studios or dark rooms. There's all the artists in residence get an info sheet that connects them to printers who they might want to print some images or work. I use analog film, so I often need to get film developed or buy film. So all of those things will be provided to you, and we can make, introductions as needed. Residency details, all the fun stuff that you guys get to do in Miami and you get as a part of this program. It's super exciting for me, to be able to see how this program's grown. I'm also a woman photographer, and so it's really nice to be able to build community through this. So we know that it's very hard to walk away from life for 30 days. So this residency does come with a $2,500 stipend, which will cover whatever materials you may need to participate, kind of the per diem, getting around local travel and meals. And then there's a separate $3,000 budget allocation for the exhibition component. So we know that obviously producing work for an exhibition comes at a cost. And so we allocate $3,000 per artist to help support in the making of that work. So whether that's printing, scanning, whatever components that is. And then we cover round trip airfare. As I mentioned, you have private living and studio accommodations at El Espacio, curatorial and professional support. Aldede and I are very involved and on the ground with each of our artists in residence. We also organize some historic site visits and other cultural visits when you're in Miami. We ask you how much you want to do and how little you want to do. This residency is really meant somewhat to function as an independent study project. So you can come in and tell us, like, hey, I really just want to make work, maybe meet 3 to 5 curators. We really have these conversations at the very start and try to tailor the residency experience to what you're looking for. There's also opportunities for online mentorship if you're in a place in your practice where maybe there's a writer or a scholar out there that you've been following their work and you would love for us as an institution to make an introduction and offer to try to make feasible maybe a 1 hour, Zoom meeting or some sort of mentorship or conversation that may coincide with your practice, your career, or maybe the project that you're working on as well. And then, of course, opportunities to engage with the local arts community. Miami has such a vibrant and tight-knit arts community. I set up a lot of studio visits for you all to visit other artists whose work might be in relationship or of interest to you. We also, like I said, visit local institutions, other museums, studio spaces. We also do host a public open studio event, which you saw a photo of prior at El Espacio. So you'll have your work up that you've been working on during the residency, and it's a very informal conversation where all the artists and curators that you've, engaged throughout your time in Miami just get to come and celebrate and see what you've been working on as well. So basically, welcome to the Miami family kind of event. And then the group exhibition at Green Space Miami, who's another incredible partner of ours that we've worked with for many years and has been supportive of the growth of this program. We do a group exhibition and an artist in residence exhibition there almost every year, or we have done every year. So we know the space really well. They kind of welcome us in, and we have a lot of capacity to really think about the work that you're making and if there are things you want to experiment with, if there's questions you have on facilities, facilitating how to build this exhibition together. And of course, the curatorial support that comes with that. And this is a view of our 2023 WOPHA Artist-in-Residence exhibition, which was a group exhibition of myself, Adama, and Nadia Huggins. We were 3 artists in residence from 2020 to 2021. And this is Green Space Miami. So an incredible, well-lit location on Biscayne Boulevard on 72nd Street. And then artist commitments. So we've talked about all the things that we offer, and this is kind of what we ask. So we're really looking for someone who can commit to the full month residency. I know it's extremely difficult to leave for 30 days, but we're really looking for someone who's ready to come to Miami and to be here and to get the most out of this experience. To collaborate with a curator to plan the exhibition. And so because the residency happens in September, this planning portion will happen prior to your arrival in Miami so that the exhibition kind of gets mounted upon arrival. We celebrate with a big exhibition opening, and then you can get to work and really use the rest of the 30 days to make new work and have already met so many incredible people through that exhibition opening. Participate in a public program. In the previous years, it's been more of an open studio event, an exhibition reception with an artist talk, but we're open to hearing if you work in community or you work through workshops. I think we're really open to seeing what that public event could be for your practice. Engage with Miami's photography and art community, which will be hard not to do, but yeah, I think we're really looking for people who are open to understanding, what's also happening here and wanting to be in dialogue with other people in this community. And then we do request a final visual and written report on your experience. So we encourage artists who come to Miami to really document where they go, whether it's a site visit or a museum, make journal entries, whether it's a note in your phone or a sketchbook, but something that can later be translated and typed for us to understand what this experience meant to you and for us to continue to make this program grow and be great. And then this is just an overview of the timeline. Obviously, we are now March 13th at the information session, but we still have a few weeks before the application deadline of March 31st. So, um, highly encourage any questions that you guys have for us to take the time to chat through that today. We hope to notify the artist by the end of April so that we can kick off this residency term to begin with curatorial planning and onboarding in May. And we will head into the Q&A. This is a photo of Adama in 2021 at El Espacio's library. So this is actually at the space that we host the residency at. In 2021, sharing a bit of her work as a part of one of our other programs. So I didn't see any questions come in the chat. So either I was extremely thorough or everyone wants us to do it unmuted style. But I do have a few questions just to kick us off. And I encourage anyone who doesn't maybe want to speak through their questions to send it in the chat now would be a great time. But other than I have two questions prepared for you that maybe can kick us off. But one question is, my work spans multiple disciplines. Am I still eligible to apply? That's for you all day.
Ah. Yes, of course. We understand that many artists are working in different disciplines and in radical ways. And of course, we welcome all applications. We welcome artists that are working in different disciplines. We just ask that the project that you are going to develop during the residency is a lens-based work or related. A project that is focused on photography or let's say like visual culture.
Great. And then I have one more question before we get to audience questions. If you have any other additional notes on like specific resources or facilities that are available maybe at El Espacio or nearby that are accessible to the artist.
Well, we really have like a very strong partnership with two universities, Florida International University and Berry University, where they have dedicated photography departments and dark rooms. So really, those are one of the resources that we can share in that sense. Also, we have partnership with several printing studios, with even digitization and scanning of film as well that we can share the resources with you. Additionally, in El Espacio, there is a shared workspace, and we are planning to have like a printer. It's a Xerox, nothing that is going to be like fine art, but can help in some of the printing work that you have to do.
Great. Now we have a few questions coming through in the chat, and I also welcome anyone if they want to raise their hand. I can call on you and you can unmute and we can chat through it that way. But I have a question from Alice. Is there a specific month for the 30-day residency within May through August? So the residency that's happening in Miami actually happens in September. So May through August is kind of that pre-planning onboarding period where we develop the exhibition that will also premiere while you're in Miami in September. Great. This is a good one, Aldede, as well. Are you looking for specific subjects or open to all themes?
We are really open to all themes. In the past, it's interesting because in the past residents that we have had, it hasn't been intentional, but many of the artists have been working with environmental topics, identity, colonial legacy, geographies, fruits, diaspora experiences. But really, we are very open to see what you have to offer. And something that I want to highlight is that, again, this is a great one of the reasons we shift from being developing the residency by nomination as it was working until last year to an open call is because we want to see you and we want to start tracing who are those artists that are out there and that we would like to keep and consider for upcoming projects as well with the organization. So this kind of open call also work as a registry process for us to identify you, to learn about your work. And in that sense, we are very open to the practice that you may be doing at this point.
And we have a hand up, Tabitha, if you want to go ahead and unmute and ask yours.
Hi there. Thank you for holding this. You can always get a lot more information if you have human beings explaining it instead of a website. I'm a little still, I could use a little more clarification about the material you want us to submit for the projects. It seems like there's 2 projects you would like us to submit as possible exhibition material. And is that different than the work that we will be making while we're there? Because it seems like the exhibition prep time is before the residency. And if that is the case, is there, should you only submit things that, I mean, for better or worse, I have a lot of work in storage that's already mounted, glazed, and framed. And is that the kind of thing that you would like us to include in the application, or are we just thinking that, well, when you get down there, you will just like print files and you will tack them up to a wall? Because obviously there's a lot of production expense with photography, unlike painting, and that's something that is just a big thorn in my side in terms of expenses, and I would imagine residency has the same concerns.
Yeah, I think it's a thorn in all of our sides of being photographers. I would say, I think we can clarify maybe the application portion first, Aleve. So I know there's submitting 10 images that best represent your practice. And then there's a written question that asks to describe up to 2 projects for consideration for exhibition. I, as an artist, and someone who's read a lot of these applications, would say, if you're writing an artist statement about your work, the visuals that you submit should coincide with that statement. So the 10 images should really be, who are you as a photographer? How do you use photography in your practice? Whereas I think the written text of 2 bodies of work that you're considering either showing, maybe like you mentioned, they're in progress, near done, some of it's done, but you want to continue it, can be a description of what that body of work is. And it could even include a link inside of that text if you have that available online somewhere else. That also might be helpful if it's very different than what you submitted. If it is visually the same body of work in the text, you can say, I want to continue the body of work I've submitted in this application. This is a little bit more information on it. Alternatively, here's a second, So we give you the option and space for multiple because we understand that, like, maybe the idea of coming to Miami is the time where you really want to sit with a fresh idea and start it from scratch, and Miami's the place to do it, for whatever reason. And I think the understanding of who you are as a whole should really reflect what that artist statement is and what your work plan is. So that body of work should really reflect those other questions in the application. I hope that clarified it, but maybe Alda, that you have notes too.
Yes, I just want to add that the exhibition is not necessarily responding to the work that you are going to develop during the residency. You may want something that we really are going to look is the specificity, let's say the character of being, why you want to come to Miami and how this experience in Miami will impact your practice. What are the benefits that you are going to have from that? And in the exhibition, we may have a kind of work that you have developed in the past as you are saying, is a work that is a cohesive body of work that we find very interesting in alignment with the other artists that are going also with the other artists that are going to be part of the residency as well. And in that sense, it's part of a conversation. But it could be something that you have printed or no, but definitely it's going to be a project that you already have developed.
And then we have another question in the chat. During the 4-month planning of the exhibition, are we using the work sample images? Are we allowed to add in new photos? So yeah, if you're selected for the residency and we're at the point of planning the exhibition, you can most definitely revise and add additional images to that original sample. That sampling or description of bodies of work for presentation are just to give us, like Alda said, an understanding of what the show would look like, also in collaboration with another artist, which body of work maybe is most ready to present, so we all know as photographers, it's not just take the image and put it up on a wall. There's a lot of things that happen in between that. And so there may be different projects that work more for exhibition rather than projects that you want to spend, your full month in investing in.
Yeah. And I wanted to clarify that even in that question, we want even to get in love with the idea because we are asking you to submit 10 word samples. That word samples are the best representative of your work. And then when we ask you, tell us about up to 2 projects, 1 or 2 projects that you would like to develop, we want you to tell us where I would like to develop this project. And as Amanda said, you can link to a site where you may have some images or some information about these projects. But yeah, that's the way that we are looking for. And something going back to the question regarding if we had like any specific topics in mind or subjects, really we are on the residency and the work that we do all the time is like counter narratives, counter histories. We are really looking forward to challenging the canon of traditional photography. So we are we are open to risk, we are open to experimentation, to projects that even problematize what we understand for documentary photography, for example, or projects that work with archives. So those are the kind of initiatives. This is really the opportunity for you to experiment and for doing that kind of dream project that you haven't been able to do before.
Do we have any more questions? Does anyone else want to unmute and chat with us? We do have one in the chat from Danielle. Hi, if the artist will be 25 by the start of the program, are they still eligible? Yes.
Yes.
Happy almost birthday, I suppose. Another one we have is within the 10 images, can we include images of work that have been exhibited and our exhibitions pictures, for example? Definitely include installation images if that best describes your work. I think that's almost very helpful in addition to maybe just images themselves to understand how the work exists in space. So highly encourage that as well. Are we open to applications from multidisciplinary artists who also use photography? Yes.
Yes.
We spoke a little bit about that, but yeah, we understand that photography and using a camera serves in multiple ways in artistic practices. And so we're very open to those who use the camera as a part of their practice. Just be sure that the work you're submitting shows the part of the practice that is the use of the camera, and you can articulate how photography functions within that.
Yeah, the camera or alternative materials. I always want to keep it open because I know there are many artists that are working with archives, are working with other non-traditional photographic techniques. So we are open to all those kind of artistic expressions.
Yeah,
and then there is an
a few of our artists have actually, like Kosi, who was just previously with us, had a very installation-based practice, but the camera was kind of a starting point or constantly like a recurring theme in her practice. Nadia also worked in video. Adama worked in performance. So there's a lot of intersections with how photography, I think, has functioned through various of our artists, previous artists in residence practice. And then my question is if the letters of recommendation can be sent in Spanish or must they be sent in English? So we don't require letters of recommendation, we only require contact info. So we just need a name, email, and phone number and title if that's important or applicable.
And the relationship of the person that you are including with you, to you. Bye, Tabitha. Hope to see your application. Thank you so much for joining us.
Right.
Same, Deborah.
We can hang out for another minute or so if anyone else has any questions, but we can also go just to the next slide if anyone wants to take a screenshot of it. It's just the reminder of the application date, March 31st at 11:59 Eastern Time. You can apply at wofa.slideroom.com. And if you have any questions, you can most definitely send me an email. I will also drop the link for the application in the chat right now, just so you can have it, click on it and save it. But yeah, we can stay on for anyone who has any other questions, but otherwise, thank you all so much. It was great to see faces, and to hear all the interest and see all the interest in the program. So we're super excited to receive your applications, and we're here to answer if you have anything else for us between now and March 31st.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you.
We are going to say good night, everyone. Or good morning, or wherever you are, but it was good to see you all.
Thank
And we'll see you soon. Thanks.